Wagwan B. It's been a little while since I sat here talking to myself, and as of course the old Crimbo day draws ever nearer, even at this late stage in the game of the 18th of December, I have a few bits to show you here that, aren't going to go under the tree simply because either I got them actually like last week, or it feels a bit wrong to put loose figures under my Christmas tree, wrap them up. It's like, nah. I have got a couple of packaged bits which I've bought myself, which have arrived, which are going to be for Christmas, but whatever I've got here, I've just sort of had in the past week or two and just sort of thought, no, I'll have it now. First couple of bits are from my friend John, simply because there's a shop around him that offers, or I should say offered, a veritable hoard of plastic, loads of old loose bots at stupidly, laughably cheap prices. I mean, he phoned me up the first day that he sort of went in there and saw this pile of loot, and he was just laughing down the phone, and I could see pictures on Twitter of what he was seeing, and I was laughing, and I came off the phone and I was still laughing for a good 10 minutes. It was hilarious because there was stuff there that was like, they're like, I don't know, ultra sized figures that were like a £5 at the most. Just like hordes of mini cons that were 99p each, and stuff that was like, £3 for a deluxe that might have even come with instructions as well. It was mental, and I just sat there grinning and knew that I would have to get him to pick me up some of the stuff that he could see. Even though he did clear most of the shelves, most of the Transformers and most of the Bionicles, and I had some of those too, there was still enough there for him to go back and then get a second lot afterwards. So, round one, I got him to get me a figure which I've sort of been wanting for a long time. Well, technically forever, because I wanted it as soon as, it sort of came out, and I never found it anywhere. It just never appeared. Never even saw it at a convention or anything like that. And it was really expensive online. Suddenly, not really suddenly, but for a while now, it's been stupidly expensive online. Like, there's a guy in Germany offering one that's mint on a sealed card, but he wants £64 for it. Jog on, mate. I can pay £3 and get a Snowcat loose, complete. Yes, it's the Energon bloke that looks like a G.I. Joe vehicle, is that right? Apparently. This is the half-track mode, I guess. You can flip some skis down and then it makes a proper snowmobile. I'm not entirely sure if all this is right. I don't really have the instructions, or I haven't found them online yet. I don't know where these flaps are meant to go at the sides here, but whatever. There's some guns that come out the side, and you can go hyper mode, and it just makes a snowmobile instead of a half track, and it just has some guns on the top. They're missile launchers, and they launch, translucent green tipped with gold missiles that just feel. This feels G2, man. It feels Thunderclashy sort of colours here, which I like. But yeah, it's a snow vehicle of some kind that flops about because nothing tabs in anywhere up here. You just have to rely on gravity to sort of hold it together when it's sat on a flat surface. I don't like that. What I do like is the windscreen section. It's got a moving wiper, and the bit where the wiper goes, they've sort of done this sort of mild sculpting, so there's a clear patch where the wiper goes, and everything else looks like it's covered in frost. That's so cool. I want more atmospheric, weathery effects on my snow vehicles, please, Hasbro. That's nice. Transforming him gives you this sort of chubby bloke. He's got a massive belly, really. That's what's going on here. This is the bot who ate all the Christmas pies. Look, his arms barely go past it. He could rest his dinner on there. Anyway, I think he looks quite good. It's a sort of robot mode that, it's pretty basic, windshield, chest. The legs are just the back end, the arms come round from the top. It's all pretty simple, but I quite like it in its simplicity. It's still a unique design, This is the only Snowcat. He's not homaging anyone, he's a completely new dude and they haven't gone and revisited him. That would be nice. Can we have some Energon updates to go with our rat traps and waspinators and tankors and things that are coming along in the Generations line, please? That would be nice. Here's just a sort of fat bloke. But I like him. His head is, suitably cat-like. Actually, he looks like a robot cat face sort of thing going on here. He's got little ears, and his face looks like a cat. So his name fits quite nicely with a nice sort of level of punny. You can swing the cannons over his shoulders, of course you can. That's what they're there for. But the best bit is opening all these flaps on his legs, and he gets some skis. So he can totally be that, like, what was it? I don't know if it was a gas meter. The thing in Wallace and Gromit that wants to ski on the moon. That's what I see when I look at this. But yeah, I'm happy with Snowcat. I don't think I couldn't be when I only spent £3 on him. I mean, you can't grumble at that. But I have to say, I'm pretty glad I did only spend £3 on him, because if I had bought one sealed, I think it might have been a little bit underwhelming, because I'm looking at this thinking he's just a little bit too basic. It's just a little bit like, the amount of stuff that doesn't tab in is the main thing I don't like. It just flops about, and I guess maybe it wouldn't flop about so much if this wasn't a loose one that someone had already played with, but I don't really imagine that having one out of the package would have made me like it anymore, really. It's nice. I've finally been able to experience the mould I've wanted to for nearly 10 years, so there we go, money well spent. Round 2 of the jaunt into the mega wonderful shop of awesome brought me something which, I'm just going to say, it's pretty colossal. It was only a £5 and it's one of the rarest Energon figures around. Of course the repaint's even rarer, but who actually owns an Energon Beachcomber? It's Energon Cliffjumper, who bears absolutely zero resemblance to any other Cliffjumper ever, and therefore I say up yours G1. I like this. I like it when they stick old people's names onto new things. I was fine with that through the Unicron trilogy. The first sideswipe I ever knew about was the blue guy, who was rubbish. So I'm perfectly fine with this being Cliffjumper. It looks like it could jump off cliffs, doesn't it? It's a massive Baja Buggy, I think is how you say that. It's literally as big as my face. This would have been a Voyager equivalent. I can't remember what the size class is in Energon. Is it Mega? It's definitely Mega. This is bloody huge. And to have this for a £5, have this massive slab of plastic for a £5, even though I did pay him a bit more so he would make some money on the deal. It's insane. I mean, man, this is solid all the way through. Honestly, it's just one massive chunk of beef with this harsh sort of cow catcher front end, and the wheels can actually sort of move, so it looks like it's turning. And yeah, missing the missile. To have this enormous thing with any accessories at all for under a tenner is just too good. And yeah, missiles, whatever. He's got guns, they're fine. Of course, they'd look better with missiles in them, but it does not make me lose sleep. But yeah, it's just massive. It's got massive wheels, and for some reason it's got like a sort of Astro Train fin affair at the top here. And there would be a sort of sound box in here. This whole back end is one colossal chunk that would fit some AAA batteries in it. But I don't have any of those, so I don't know what sounds it makes. All in all, I think this is the most gigantic, just truly big thing I've had in a long time. And wait till you see the robot mode. Oh, he's a big un! Yeah, the bigness doesn't stop. I think if anything it gets even bigger in this mode, just because it's so colossally wide with these giant shoulder pads. Yeah, it's almost poking me in the eye. Yep, he's big. In this mode it becomes more apparent that I think, I'm pretty sure, you've got to look at this and think, it was made to be Beachcomber, which is this guy's repaint, and just sort of feels like, yeah, that's where they were going, and they just decided to sort of do a different colour scheme and make him a different guy and release him first. But I have to look at this and think it's Beachcomber. I mean, it's got a buggy mode, his face is Beachcomber, it's, despite the fact he's colossal and beefy and wields 2 missile launchers, it just feels more like Beachcomber. But we're here to talk about this one, which is Cliffjumper, even though he's not red. Actually ends up looking a bit more like Roadbuster, I think, in these colours, which is cool, sort of inter-homage thing, maybe. I don't know. It's a completely new robot. Nothing else looks like this, really, does it? He's got massive knee pads, which actually become feet when you sort of make him a pair of trousers for the Power Links thing. I have to say, this is the first big Powerlinks Autobot I've got, and I have attached him to some others, and it just looks weird, you know, because I haven't got any others this size. It's either a little torso with a massive pair of legs, or a giant torso that looks like he's been skimping on leg day when he goes to the gym. It probably goes without saying that this is laden with cacophonous click. I mean, okay, it's maybe not so much on the knees, but listen to that. There's a bit of a squeak on that one, actually. That's better. Yeah, gives good click, boys. There's good click here. Oh yeah. Not so much in the shoulders. There is some up here, but yeah, he's pretty clicky. Pretty clicky. As far as sort of articulation goes with that click, it's not bad, I guess. I mean, the only bit that really doesn't click at all is his elbows, which are ball joints, which I suppose is quite good because you get some swivel going on there as well. But yeah, I guess, I don't know, he feels poseable. You know, there are a lot of joints here. He's got knees and hips and everything like that, and it's not really bad, you know. But he just ends up feeling a bit muscle bound because he's so enormous. Once you put him into some sort of dynamic position, he just sort of looks like a big clump of stuff because everything is so big. So I guess that's a little bit of a downside, but when you got a figure that's just full of this much plastic, you kind of expect that, and sort of, it's not really so much of a bad thing when something is this big and huge, and it's a bit of a feast for the eyes because there's quite a lot to look at. There's, you know, different colours, details. He's just laden with stuff and is huge and can stand there like some great monolith. Especially when he's like about a foot wide. It's just, yeah, satisfying. Like a hearty meal. This is what this is. He's a roast dinner. Even is sort of coloured like one. So those were the things that came from a magical shop of wonder somewhere in the West Country. Yeah, I think if I ever actually set foot in there, I would start screaming and not stop until about a good hour has gone by. If they had the level of stuff they had in there at the time these were bought at the moment. Which I don't think would be the case, because apparently it gets sort of drained dry very regularly. Especially when people like John go in there and spend 200 quid on plastic. But it's okay because there's a good resale value on that. Right? Not being sarcastic at all. Now we move on to what could be the pièce de résistance of this video. Those two were lovely, yes. Those two sort of fulfill a little bit more of the old sort of childhoody, I wanted that but never got it for Christmas sort of deal. But now we travel back into the before time. Back to the years where, well, actually I suppose no, one of these is from before I was born, one of these is from when I was 2, so I had no, inkling that they even existed until a good few years ago, and to be honest I never particularly wanted them, but one of them is fueled by a comic appearance, the other one simply because he came with the other one and they were a good price. All the way from Italy comes a couple of lovely, I want to say G2 figures, but technically one of them isn't. I think he's one of these Euro exclusive G1 guys that didn't actually turn up in G2. I don't know. Let's get on with it. I've got a Rotor Storm. Have it. Yes, I spent a good, it was only about 20 quid. I've got a Rotor Storm, and a Laser Optimus Prime. This is a good haul. Yes, money well, very, very well spent. You got the touch! I cannot begin to describe how much I love these things, even though they are without any detachable parts. Haven't even got a rotor for Rotor Storm, let alone his massively powerful Predator guns. And Optimus hasn't got a trailer, hasn't got a sword, hasn't got any foamy missiles or a gun or any of that stuff. But I still love them a lot. Yeah, I think, yes, let's talk about Optimus for a bit. His stickers are a little bit wonky. He's got a gash across his chest here. Maybe one day when there's a repro label set for this guy, I'll buy it and make him look a bit better. But at the moment, it gives him a bit of character, makes him look played with, and I like that. He's been through the wars, and to be perfectly honest, I don't want him to say Optimus Prime across his boobs. I'd rather that was crossed out. Yes. This is how you do an Optimus Prime. In my eyes, this is just quintessential perfection of that ideal hero robot man. Maybe it's cause this reminds me a hell of a lot, and you see me, yeah, his legs wiggle a bit. This reminds me a hell of a lot of Armada Optimus. Maybe, I'm going to say very probably, because Armada Optimus was designed with this in mind to sort of harken back to the features this had. But because I had that first and this later, this reminds me of that, and it feels so good. It's like, yes, got a lovely big chunky beef town click. Could light up if I had some watch batteries. Optimus again, and it feels good. You just, yes. Oh, I love the click. And everything clicks. And the legs. He's so poseable. So nice. G2 figure that is. I can believe the hype this had for years as being like the most poseable Transformer. He's even got a waist swivel. Come on, it's a G2 figure with a waist swivel. Are you kidding me? I squealed with delight when I found that. What's his arms? They move good too, but there's no click, sadly, and you can't raise his arms all the way up because the sort of wires that go in there limit the movement. Bit of a shame, but come on, it's crazy. I love it. I love the proportions. I love the design, the detailing, everything. Everything about this, it just screams proper good Optimus Prime to me. Every design facet of this thing, just yes, it is my era, my quintessential look of Transformers to me. And he's got amazing light piping. I mean, his eyes are it's just like white plastic, but man, it's like, it's good. It's so good, and yeah, I want some batteries to make the bits light up, and then maybe I'll fit Armada Optimus's gun in his hand, and that can light up or something. I don't know. Don't even know if the lights work. The battery compartment is only slightly rusty. It had some batteries in it. They were, a bit rusty. Took them out, chucked them away. But I don't have any that are the right size. So maybe one day you'll see me make this thing light up. But yeah, the only things I can complain about is the jiggly wiggly. All the points on his hips between the ratchets, they're loose. I mean, look at that. Floppy flop flop, flippy flap flap. His waist is a bit like it as well. It's a bit of a shame because he's standing up and he just sort of wants to wiggle about, lean around and stuff. Whatever! I have got a Laser Optimus Prime for around £10 and I couldn't give a monkey's that he doesn't have a trail or any of that stuff. Because I honestly think when you've got a figure that is as good as this, you don't need any of that. And that would just detract from how good this is. It gets to a level where you've got gimmicks and guns and stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool. He's got a massive base. It has like different firing mechanisms. It will just clutter it up. It just takes away from the enjoyment of what you really paid for, and that is the robot. And it's so good, man. It's so damn good. And he is going to be a shelf resident. One more G2 figure, like all my G2 figures, almost, that I absolutely adore and will take some sort of pride of place up there one day. Enough gushing about my new Perfect Optimus Prime archetype. Let's talk about what I really spent the money on. It's a bloody rare G1 figure, isn't it? It's Rotorstorm. It's only bloody Rotorstorm. That bloke from The Last Stand of the Wreckers, who was well cool and well funny and actually made me laugh my head off for the first time in a comic. I honestly had not ever laughed anything like as hard as I did when I read the bit where he was all like, "Wreckers combine!" Well, I thought it was funny. I could not stop laughing. That was just the best piece of writing ever. And when, I don't know, actually when I suddenly decided I wanted to Rotorstorm, for a few weeks I've been looking around at the sort of Euro exclusive G1 guys, people like Thunderclash and Clench, and thinking, I want one of them, I want a Thunderclash, I'd love a Clench, but they're all right, really expensive. Or, well, Thunderclash isn't, but he's riddled with GPS issues, so I wanted to stay away from that until I knew exactly what I might be getting into if I did buy one. Rotorstorm has no gold plastic, but he's still possibly the worst condition figure I own. I love this thing, but it's yellowed to buggery. In helicopter mode, you can't really see it in this mode, along one side and a lot of the top, it's basically gone green. A lot of the blue is just no longer there. It's just it almost, if you just look at it at a first glance, it actually looks like a sort of green over blue sort of camo pattern almost. So it's not quite so bad, but yeah, it's pretty badly gone basically. I'm gonna need to maybe have a go with that old peroxide in the sun treatment and see if I can get him back to his glorious lovely blue self, but I don't really want to risk it because it will mean having to dismantle him, taking his head off, taking the cockpit off, because it will of course bleach the lovely translucent stuff, and I don't want to do that because this, poking the alcove around his head rather than his actual head, this is the best light piping I've ever seen. It's just so good. Tilt it towards any minor light source and it flares up with this sort of pink fury of just its perfect 90s awesome power, and I could not endanger that at all. But of course there's other things to this figure. I'm not going to talk about the helicopter mode because it's virtually pointless when I haven't got a rotor. I suppose it could look like a sort of Cybertronian mode, but I don't think I'm really ever going to put him into that mode because it's all yellowed. It's just no good. Robot mode is okay. He looks good. He's tall. He's lean. He's blue. He's cool. He's the hot shot of the air, and I just really like the click that his legs make, even though his knees are bolted together. Some sort of stupid move. There's just something I really like about it. It's simple. In today's standards, it's pretty rubbish. You know, you've only really got the light piping as a redeeming feature, and maybe like the overall proportions. If they do a classics Rotorstorm, I will eat it up. I'm sort of hoping upon hope that they do a retool of the Voyager Whirl that we're getting as Rotorstorm. That'd fit, you know. Helicopter cockpit chest. Vaguely similar shaped helicopter mode. I'd buy that. If they stock on a new head, different hands, maybe slightly different legs, I'd buy that as Rotorstorm. I like his character, and it's just so sad that you just got shot in the face the instant that you suddenly realise this is a character I can love. So in that way, James Roberts and Nick Roche destroyed part of my heart that day, but I'm sure they did that to everyone. Rotorstorm is a beaut, and I just feel like there's things I want to talk about him, but I'm not sure what they are, because he just feels good. He's all square, and he doesn't move at the shoulders properly, and his elbows do that, and he just, you know, he only flaps his arms, and that's rubbish. That's the worst articulation like ever. You don't do that. You don't do that ever. You never not give a figure shoulders. But I just adore it, and yeah, he's gonna stand proudly upon that shelf with other obscurities of old and look down and be like, yes, I am the 90s, worship me. That's it for now. I'm still working on that Bionicle video, mainly because the entire file suddenly decided it was corrupted and I had to abandon the project and start again. Admittedly, it is apparently a fault that Windows Movie Maker, which is what I used, I know I shouldn't, has. I guess I'm just lucky that that was the first time that happened. But whatever. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, or whichever holiday you wish to celebrate this time of year. I'm just going to say Christmas because, as far as I know, Hanukkah's been. And I'm actually not sure if Diwali has been, or if we are yet to have that. And the only other one I can think of is Kwanzaa. But please forgive me, I don't know what that is. I will go and find out now. Merry festive seasons to you! Ho 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 ho! And I shall see you very probably in the new year with a bit of a Christmas haul. Toodaloo!